Hi everyone, welcome to the latest feedback call for IronQuest. This month the theme was sea creatures, and we've had around about 15 submissions that we're going to look at today. I'm very lucky to be joined by Mark Bradbourne this month. Hi Mark.
Hey Sarah, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Excellent.
Good. It's great to have you on. I appreciate you taking the time to be part of this. For those that don't know you, Mark, do you want to give a quick intro? I mean, everyone knows you, but...
I'm a legend in my own mind. Mark Bradbourne. I live in Cleveland, Ohio, United States. I work for a regional bank here. And I've been in BI and analytics for 22 years and been using Tableau for 7 or so. Tableau social ambassador and co-leader of the Cleveland Tableau user group.
Brilliant. Okay.
That's all my stuff.
Okay. And for those that don't know me, my name's Sarah Bartlett. I work at Slalom in London. I'm a Tableau social ambassador, and I blog at sarahlovesdata.co.uk. And also I founded IronQuest. So IronQuest, in case you don't know, is based upon the format of the feeders for IronViz. So every month when the contest is running, I'll post some options to the public to pick a theme that we can visualize, and then it's up to people to take part, and they can adapt that theme how they like, find their own data, and then publish a viz. And then the purpose of this call is to provide feedback on those vizes so people can improve their skills, ready for when IronViz comes around. There's 3 feeders a year plus the European contest. So we have 2 feeders remaining this year. So hopefully people will take the lessons they learned from IronQuest and then apply them to the IronViz feeder vizes. So without further ado, I'm just going to share my screen. Mark, if you can let me know if you can see that, that would be great.
Yep, we're good.
Okay, great. So the first viz we're going to review today is by Young. And Young has looked at, for better for worse, a look at symbiosis in the aquatic ecosystem. So Mark, what are your first thoughts on this one?
So my first thought on this is that just the overall look and feel of it, it's very clean. It's very striking. Mm-hmm. I think, if I'm just looking at the readability, there's plenty of white space. We get a definition up front because I'm not totally familiar with what symbiosis is. So I appreciate the definition. And then, kind of as we go down through, I like the way that he's kind of broken this into chapters.
Yeah. There's a lot of information here, but I think he's laid it out really well and really clearly. Yeah. So it's not like information overload. It's because it's quite a complex topic, but that Young's portraying here. But I think he does a really good job in all of his vizzes of taking like a scientific like theme and then just explaining it to like the layperson, for instance. So I really like that about his work, and they're really like visually appealing as well. Mm-hmm. Without being like too like corny or overwhelming.
Yeah. So chapter 2 is a bit word heavy. That I think that's the first thing that I'm seeing, because like when I get back down into chapter 3, we get more visualization.
Yeah, I'd say that the area chart in chapter 3 and the line chart for that matter is quite wide. Also there's no labels on either of the charts apart from the years, so it's hard to see without looking at tooltips what the values are.
And on the line chart, I'm personally not a fan of the color coding of the line chart, and there's no legend. Mm-hmm. I'm not quite sure what the color's actually telling me.
I think orange is increasing.
Okay.
Blue is decreasing. I think so. We're looking at
that
temperatures. Yeah, I agree. I think just a solid line color would be fine. At least not diverging, because where's the midpoint?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
we need some sort of scale or something here to
Yeah.
help. But
Now, if we're not going to use an axis, I mean, just some labeling on those lines, maybe the max or the min or the start and the end would be fine.
right.
Let's just take a look at the map.
So I really like the interaction between the map and the line chart on the right.
Yeah, yeah, that looks great.
Yeah. Yeah, very clean. Oh, it's the map box. I love the map box map
I
integration.
know, it's so good. It's so
So
much better.
fabulous.
I mean, it was pretty bad before. So it's almost we've taken a massive leap from like the standard Tableau maps to these.
Yeah.
The vector maps are just great. I like the references he's done. I like it. It's really concise.
Yeah, that's
You've
really
got
nice.
the links in there, which is great. I
You know,
mean,
I was doing this trick for a while, and Andy Kriebel had mentioned to me that I needed to be more obvious with it because sometimes just hiding it under the icon isn't enough. But
yeah,
with as many resources that are here, and I think the fact that he marked it as references, I think this actually worked. Because before, like when I was doing it, I just kind of had a database icon, and that was where my data sources were. And
yeah,
unless you looked at my vizzes, but I think the way that he's linked it or the way that he's marked it here, I think it's really nice.
yeah. It's difficult because a lot of people consume just the image on social media, for instance. So,
Right.
if they're only consuming the image, then they're not going to see the references. So it's kind of a balance. But when you have that many, so I've just published a viz today with 20 odd different links to different sites, and there's no way that I could have put that on the viz. It would have looked horrendous.
Yeah.
Which is so sometimes I think it
Yeah.
makes sense to use.
This is a nice alternative.
Yeah.
Very nice.
But no, I think it's great. It's one of my favourite vizzes that Young's done. So appreciate you entering again. Yeah, great job.
Yeah, really nice.
Okay, so moving on, we're next going to look at Vindo. I love the different takes on this topic as well. So some are looking at animals, or sea creatures, fish, etc. And others are looking at coral reef. We have Michael Sandberg's The Creature of the Deep. There's a real we've got Baby Shark in there somewhere, which will come up. So, but we've got a real diverse range of entries.
Yeah, real creativity on this one for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Just looking at coral reef. So hover over the map to know about the various coral reef systems around the world.
We
Okay,
just get the system name.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I guess the only takeaway I've got here is some of them are blank that I'm seeing, and just because there's so many of them, it's to go over each one would be a bit much. I'd almost wonder if you broke it down regionally or just because there's so many, right?
Yeah. So maybe a different color for different regions, or so I've seen a similar vid to this that that Mark Reed posted last night. So in Mark's, he's actually color coded them by their status. So if they're critically endangered, which is quite good because you can then see areas where you've got a lot of coral reefs in danger.
Right.
So yeah, I get your point. It is quite hard to hover as well, and some of them are quite small.
Right.
And if you were looking for something specific, you might struggle to find it. This viz is really long, so it must have taken a lot of time. So
Oh wow.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'd say the section under the map. Well, first of all, what do you think about the map background? So you've obviously got the grey, and then you've got the black actual background of the viz. What do you think about that, Mark?
Because he's used a very bright indicator, I think it works well.
Yeah.
As we go down through the viz, I think sometimes doing a dark viz is difficult.
Yeah.
But as we go down, we'll kind of see. But like, that first impression, it's really nice. I do question I'd almost wonder if it makes sense to keep like a similar color throughout. So if you're going to use that neon pink, like lighting, in the text below,
Yeah.
it could use that same highlighting.
Yeah, because the thing is, if you scroll down, a lot of the other items are red or kind of orange.
Yeah.
So to be honest, and we don't see the pink again. So to be honest, I probably would have used the pink instead of the orange in the map, and then kept with that. Called red instead of what am I talking about? Red instead of pink, and kept with the red throughout.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're bringing in another color and it's not used again. There's also some text that's highlighted in yellow underneath the map, and that section is quite text heavy. So perhaps I would think about changing some of those key numbers into bands.
Yeah,
Like
exactly what I
big
was
ass
thinking.
numbers, just to, especially the middle section. And then maybe putting some of this additional information in a tooltip, so you hover over perhaps an image, and then that will pop up, and that just reduces the amount of text actually on the screen.
Yep, agree. All right, so as we continue down, under the sea surface temperatures, the dual axis, I struggle with this just because it's different scales.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite things that I've found is Cole Knaflick talks about this when she's using different scales, that she'll actually just break them apart and kind of stack the two charts on top of each other, so you can see the temporal relation, but
Yeah.
not necessarily have this, causation or correlation
Yeah.
potentially. And with it being the same colors, I don't know which scale goes to which, at least not at the first glance.
Yeah. So one is percentage and one is temperature.
Right. Okay. So the area chart is the
Is
scale on the
is the
left, and
correct?
the bars are the ones on the right. Okay.
Yeah. So actually the bars, if you look at the tooltip, it says sea surface temperature is higher than average. So I don't think that's the actual temperature. I think that's
No,
the how
just the
the
change.
how it differs from the average.
Oh, okay.
So which is, again, is a little bit confusing.
Yeah, it's a little bit confusing.
Yeah. So then we've got the chart on the left, to the left of that, where you've got the different factors that are contributing to coral bleaching.
Yeah.
That works great because you obviously, it's like what I've described above. It's
Mm-hmm.
consolidating all that text into just a hover tooltip.
Yeah.
Which works well. I mean, it just in this view, we've got three different colors. If you take away the white and the black, so I question why the red on the left is different to the red or kind of orange in the chart on the right. Probably make them the same.
Yeah, and I would bet, just looking at it, that it is actually the same color, but because he changed the opacity,
Yeah,
the blacks change. But yeah, it's
yeah. And then you've got obviously the borders as well in that chart with the
right.
yellow, which are probably, yeah. I guess he's put that on there so we can see the bars.
Yeah.
But again, it's a little bit distracting. And then we've got another map.
Yeah.
So this one's, so this is like what I described that Mark did, looking at that kind of like the status of those coral areas. This is just, I was going to say, why is it filtered? It's obviously just the Great Barrier Reef. Say that it probably look better if the dots are a bit smaller, and also
Yeah.
transparent, maybe even borders, just because they're
Yeah.
all piled on top of each other, right? So
If you click on the severity unknown, when it highlights it, it's really hard to differentiate between. Like, go to the last one, the severity unknown. It's really hard to see kind of which ones are.
Yeah. Also, you've got on that. We've got you've got the what do you call them, the the buttons where you can actually keep only, so you could easily like press it by mistake and then mess up
Yeah.
the viz. So I'd be careful there. But it would probably work better as an action, you know, or actually filter out the others so you can only see one at a time.
Yeah.
Rather than the highlight, because the highlight's setting it all white and then it just makes it really hard to see.
Yeah. Now doing a set action here.
Yeah.
If you just build another worksheet and do a set action to just show the hover, yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
I do see the return of the pink though in the little Australia map in the upper corner there.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I see that.
So, yeah.
I like the images of the coral. That's great. To the right. And then we've got a section on turtles.
And again, the color just ever so slightly different. Like the bar chart to the area chart below there.
Yeah, yeah. Is it? And is this turtles stranded in Queensland or turtles stranded in general?
I don't see a reference.
Mm.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Reef in Queens. So the text does say Reef in Queensland, so it must be just Queensland.
Okay.
So I'm wondering overall if it would have just made sense to focus on just the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah, I think
it would focus the viz a little bit more.
Yeah, that might have worked. And then to the map at the top, you could have almost got rid of it and just used the second map.
Yeah.
And the viz that we've just done with Kev Flurlage, Kev had the ability to switch between the two. So you could we were looking at a particular area, but you could also switch and see the world. So like in a tooltip, which is quite good. So it kind of puts it into context. And that would work here as well.
Yeah.
I like the little images of the animals and then or the residents of the coral, but that section's quite big.
It is, yeah.
So
all right. Common diseases. Yeah, I think again we could probably do some borders on this dot plot, just especially for the
because you've got the clustering.
bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, for the larger ones, I'd consider putting the label in the actual dot.
Right, and then just have the tooltip do the rest.
Yeah, yeah. Because obviously, black band disease really stands out there.
Yeah, and actually, so which one? Oh, so both. Okay, I see now. So the clusters are black band white syndrome is a cluster, and then coral hyperplasia is a cluster. Okay.
Okay. And then we've got
Or no, I think I'm sorry, I'm reading that wrong. So it is a bit.
White syndrome. You've got black band disease, white syndrome, and then there's one I'm not even going to begin to pronounce.
Yeah.
I'll get it wrong.
Yeah. So yeah, the labeling's a bit misleading because you're not sure which.
Oh,
except for black band.
Yeah, the hyperplasia one.
Yeah.
Is actually the last.
Yeah, the furthest one on the left.
You could be any one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then we have extreme weather. So this is like a timeline. I mean, it goes in reverse order, so it's the most recent first, which is fine because I guess you read it that way, so you're reading it backwards.
Yeah.
Kind of.
The tooltip's redundant, so I think we could probably just turn those off, and there's no action, so I think you probably just do without the tooltip.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this might work better or be a little bit more visual if it was shown in like the curvy timelines that Ken's done a blog on before.
Oh yeah, that would actually, it would save space and look nice, because when you look at the map, I really like the layout of this map. Doing the regions of the Great Barrier Reef and the percentage of dead coral, but there's obviously some extra space there that you could squeeze that down if you did the curvy line. I think that would look really nice.
Yeah. And then we have region-wide Great Barrier Reef depth percentage.
Okay. And then the last bit is talking about
yeah, so just the lines on the map, they don't mean anything, right? They're just section.
I think they're just showing the sections.
Right. Okay.
It might have been, I wonder if it'd be worthwhile to color code that some way. Again, like if they would just focus down on the Great Barrier Reef, you know, maybe that top map is color coding the sections, you know, the far north, the north, the central.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good ideas here, but I think there's some focus that could happen and make this really, really powerful.
Yeah, because on that map you've got the dots are representing the percentage, so that 26 is 26%, which is exactly the same as what's written next to it. So it's almost like double encoding. So I don't know, it might even look better just to take the dots off and just leave the text and maybe shade those sections, like shade the areas like separately, so you can actually see, rather than showing it twice. Because if you look at this at a glance, you might think, okay, it's 26 reefs, maybe.
Right.
Or, you know.
Yeah. It's without the indicators, a bit confusing. And then the tooltip is a duplication of the label and the text.
Yeah.
So.
And then the methods at the bottom, that's good. I mean, it's good that it's kind of like a call to action, things that we could do to make the situation better. I'd try and make this a little bit more visual. So again, maybe use some icons and put some of this detail in the tooltip.
Absolutely.
And then we have this graph that's kind of lost a little bit in the middle. So that might be better if you had those icons, you'd free up some space, so you could actually make this a little bit bigger. Probably move it to the left or the right, depending on how that section looked.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, and I'd make the donate button a little bit more prominent.
Yeah, definitely put some sort of icon or
like a button.
Really call that out, because everything else is really bright colors, and then the link is blue on black, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
like almost like an afterthought.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, like, great job. It's really long, so it must have taken a long time to put together. Okay. Next one is by Swati.
Sharks, but not baby sharks.
Not baby sharks. Don't start singing it. Okay, so we're looking at sharks. Just scroll down quickly. In the threats to sharks, shark fins, tourism, call to action. Okay, so I really like the action on this one, so you can actually change the type of shark at the top, and then you get a different image.
Yeah, that's
different
really
description.
nice.
It's really cool. Love that you've got the vulnerability status as well there for each one.
Yeah, I love the color scheme,
because it's very fitting.
It kind of matches the shark body for the most part. That's really, really well done.
And then, so for the why they matter section, again, you've got a great action there, which gives you some more detail about the sharks and each of those things.
Yeah, great use of imagery, especially like the shark finning. It's
quite powerful. Yeah,
it is.
And then we have the threat section. So this map is really cool. It's quite obvious at a glance, you know, where there's a finning ban, without like overloading with too much information. I'd just be careful of the red that's been used. I think it's for China.
Well, and I was trying to figure out what the country color coding is. That the imports of shark fins? Is that what that's indicating, or is it?
It's so okay. So blue is
fins naturally attached.
Yeah.
Yellow is some states and territories require fins naturally attached.
Yeah.
And
And
then
the
no ban.
red is no ban. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, maybe a little legend to explain that.
Yeah. And then shark tourism. Again, we've got another like compact map.
What do you think, Sarah, here? For me, the map styles, now I understand because we're color coding the country here, but I'm wondering if you just kept the same map style.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, yeah, because you've got two completely different maps almost right next to each other. So, to be honest, I'd probably, if it was me, stick with the satellite one, and then hover the fin and ban yes no image over the countries. Or you could even use one map, and you could use a parameter to show the two different things. What do you think?
Right, toggle it out.
Yeah,
no, love that idea.
yeah. That would save some space as well.
Yeah, no, this was.
And then, yeah, the call to action section is good. I just say that some of those, like not icons, which like logos, are really small, so I can't read the writing on some of those. I'd make them a bit bigger.
Right. No.
But it's good. The way that it's been done is really good, and I like the way that the text is in the tooltip.
Yep, and the sources are under the I, the information.
Yep. Maybe
Nice.
just label that to like sources or references, so it's obvious what that contains.
Yep. Agreed.
Great job.
Yeah, really nice. It's very, very clean. I'll say just a couple of things, but overall, really, really nice.
And really good
nice
actions as well. Like.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is by Regis. So how do you pronounce the name of this thing? Regis is. I don't want
to. Why you got to do that to me? Why you got to? So first, I would include a pronunciation guide. QX? QX?
Wawax? I don't know.
Wawax? I hope Regis can.
It's like a sea lion. Let's call it a sea lion.
Yeah.
Purpose of this call.
Very cute.
It is very cute. Yeah, and I like the way that she's incorporated the image and the map and pulled all the colors together. It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's actually a really small viz as well, so it's there's a lot in
very, very clean.
Yeah. Oh, there is. Hang on, there is an ear. Let me play this. I don't know if it's going to work on my laptop. Oh yeah. That's a video though. It's good. I thought that was only going to show the name, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I think it's trying to play a sound.
Yeah. So the video, I'd say it's really small.
Yeah.
So probably, if you want to include that, either make it bigger, which would mean making the whole viz bigger, or maybe just include a link. So if we look at the map, really like the style of the map. It's good.
I do too. I say the tooltips. I don't know that I need the longitude and latitude in the tooltip.
Yeah, yeah. Get rid of that. Yeah. What I'd say, what do the colors mean?
That is an excellent question. I think it has to do with the Gulf they're in. So the brighter yellow at the top right is the Eastern Gulf, and as you go down, Eastern Aleutians, Central Aleutians. So it's just the island groupings.
Right. Okay.
So a little legend maybe for that. And then I think I like the idea of what's going on in the go back up for a minute.
Yeah.
The little inlay map.
Yeah.
I believe that's that little tiny island that the triangle is pointing to.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, the triangle's quite big though.
Yeah.
It almost looks like it's part of the design, like
Right.
like not being used as a pointer, more for
But
just artistic purposes, which I think she's probably done because she wants to hide the the little pop up that shows like at Mapbox.
right, yeah. But yeah, but I like the idea just because of that island is so small.
Yeah, no, it's good. I like it when you do that. You just get in context kind of what you are looking at. And then we have the abundance by region section at the bottom.
I love these line charts. I love
Yeah,
them.
they're really tiny, but they look great and they're labeled well, colored well. I like how she's included the forecast section with the grayed out background, so you can kind of
Yeah,
see.
really effective.
Yeah.
Again, we've got an information icon. Just label that, as references or sources.
Yeah. But no, it's great, and not too much text either. She's incorporated the map really well and made it like part of the design, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it looks great overall.
Yeah. Okay. Next one is by Michael Sandberg.
This one's just fun.
Yeah. So Michael doesn't really viz much for like in public, so it's really exciting to see him publish this. And it's like such a fun take on the theme. So he actually asked me, is it okay to do this because it's strictly not real and it's not even in the sea? I'm like, just go for it.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect this. Like I thought he'd do something else completely different. So the first thing I said to Michael was that this reminds me of, Josh's comic book visits.
Totally.
Yeah, and he's actually cited Josh as inspiration, and he worked with Josh on this for feedback, which is great. So I really like how that was kind of inspired by Josh's work. Have you seen the movie?
You know what? I probably saw it when I was a kid, like ages ago. But
Yeah.
It makes me want to go see it again.
Yeah, I really want to see it now. So it's really interesting that he's included all the background, where the creature's from and the Amazon River, and some information on the actors as well. And then just that action with the different posters is really cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
I'd say so the green background, I think in this case works really well because you've got the different sections as like text boxes with their shaded background, so they're really easy to read. And I think it's quite fitting with the theme that you have that kind of background. I wouldn't normally recommend like doing something like this.
No, it's very well done because you're right. Those solid or very powerful backgrounds, unless you're
it's
really
textured
effective.
and it's green. It's like if someone did this Make of a Monday, I'd be like, yeah.
The blue, like in the geological periods, I might pick a different shade.
Yeah, it's quite difficult to see. Maybe a darker blue or.
Yeah. And if yellow is obviously the one that we're highlighting. So you could even do them in black and just have it as the yellow. Yeah.
And then as you go down to the cultural impact section.
I think they would have done solid.
Yeah, I was just going to say that because it's because again they're quite, especially on the film section, they're quite hard to see. So I'd probably make those like solid circles. I may even reduce the number of years shown on the axes because otherwise you've got
or make the viz a little longer. I mean, your 100 pixels, just to give it a bit of space.
But I like the idea, so you can see like consistently over time since this film has come out, it's been referenced in different things, which is really interesting. I even said to Michael, that's the recent film, the Shape of Water.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen that? It won an Oscar, 2017 film. Really bizarre like movie, I don't know if you've seen it, but
Not.
I'd recommend it. It's bizarre, but in a kind of good way. But it's the minute I saw this viz, at first I just thought of that film because it's the same. It's the same creature, and they've captured him, and it's basically this woman falls in love with the creature. So like I said, it's very bizarre, but well done. And yeah, so it was inspired by this movie, which I didn't know. So
Very cool.
yeah. I'd say for the references section at the bottom, this goes back to what we were saying before. It might work better in a tooltip, in an image, and also the text is quite small and it's a little bit difficult to read. Do you
Yeah,
agree?
and it's cut off at the bottom. There's another line of
Yeah,
text.
yeah,
That's
yeah. But other than that, I really like this. It's super interesting.
yeah,
Yeah,
really good.
well done, Michael. Hopefully, you're into Iron Viz.
I'll say that theater opens up in what, next week or week after?
It's next week. Yeah, I saw some people from Tableau today, and I was trying to get them to tell me what it was, and they wouldn't.
No head start.
No. Okay, so this is by Mark Reed. So this came in literally last night. So similar topic to one of the ones we looked at before around the coral reefs, but this is focusing on Indonesia specifically. What are your initial thoughts on this one?
I, so I think this is plasma color
Yeah.
palette.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the color palette, but I think I would try to, I don't know if possibly to make it just a little bit larger because the black is really overpowering. And when you actually hover over it, it flashes like white.
Yeah, it's the same issue that use with the kind of the highlight action that we were seeing before.
Yeah. But I love that we've included the global map down in the lower right.
Yeah, that's great.
Because as much as I like geography, I mean, pretty sure I could find Indonesia on a map, but it would take me a moment.
Yeah.
But just having that reference is nice.
Yeah, definitely. And then I really like the action here. So you've got the predicted threat, protected areas, which brings up, the actual names of the places.
Yeah.
And then the coral bleaching, he's using the really cool kind of, what do you call it, like halo
yeah.
thing, I think.
Johnny Walker was the first person I saw do that, I think.
Okay, so I think Anya Ahern published something with like KPIs, they were like flashing. So it's a similar technique.
Yeah. But no, those are really nice, really distinctive, different style maps. I really like the protected area one. I think it calls it out really well.
Yeah. So I agree on the predicted threat one. I think he's using he's shading the areas, right? So maybe I don't know what it would look like with like dots. I'm not sure if that would work so well. But I agree, it's quite faint, and with the action, with the highlight action, it's quite difficult to see them because you do get that whole like white flash kind of effect.
Yeah. And if you use the legends, it does highlight them out, but even still, it's like, especially the low, like you don't even see it.
Yeah, even critical is really, really difficult because they're so small.
Yeah.
But I mean, I really love the viz and the overall style. I like how he's used the bands at the top. I think they're really effective. And then just a little bar chart and how the text is shaped to fit around the map. That's really cool.
Yeah. And this is probably nitpicking, but I think just because it's so clean, now that I'm looking at it, the band color, the highlight on the selected view on that in the box in the global map, I think I would have gone with that same bluish teal color.
Okay. Yeah. True.
Just a minor thing, but
yeah. I really like this style, the footer. It's really clean and just really nicely done.
it is. info button, does that give you the show vertical? Oh,
Yeah,
did
you
he do?
just click on it.
Oh, parameter action.
Yeah.
Or toggle zone. Sorry.
Hmm. Yeah, it's really cool. Well done, Mark. Thank you for entering. Okay, the next one is by Kelvin. Okay, so the Chinese white dolphin in Hong Kong. I didn't know there was such a thing as the Chinese white
didn't either.
dolphin. So this is really interesting.
First impression, this is super clean.
Yeah, I mean, minimal use of color, and the colors
Yeah,
are really appropriate, which is great.
Yeah, and you could see this translate into the business world. Like this is, it's just that level of polished.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it reminds me a little bit of some of Johnny Walker's work, because there's a lot of text there, but it's tied together with the visualizations really nicely. And I like how he's used like the columns for the text as well, kind of breaks it up rather than just having like a huge chunk of text.
Yeah, it's almost like a newspaper feel, kind of, that grid design, which is really, really nice.
Yeah, I don't think there's a ton of interactivity here, and I don't think it really needs it.
Right, but yeah, the local population bar, you could actually turn the tooltip off.
Yep.
I think. I like the band. I know the stranded dolphin line chart, but I'm wondering if maybe even just a small text box floated there to say stranded dolphins, just to kind of say actually what that is.
Yeah. So maybe even move that. So I spoke to Johnny basically about the way he designs vizzes once, and he was saying how he uses the charts to flow into the text. So maybe switch the stranded dolphins piece of text and the chart around, so that chart actually appears above the stranded dolphins header. So then you haven't got to label it kind of twice.
There you go. Yeah, no, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
That Johnny guy knows what he's doing.
I know, annoying. And then on the map, so we've got these shaded areas. There is a tooltip on there, which describes what they are, which is great. And yeah, I mean, I think that's all that. I'm funny enough, he actually cites Johnny as an inspiration.
Yeah,
I missed that. But no, I think it's really good work.
Yeah, very, very, very well done. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. And I love the circular map as well. Again, that's a Johnny Walker thing that I've stolen many a time.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is by Caitlin, or Kate. So she's looking at sea turtles. So I've just done a viz with Kev on sea turtles, and when this came out, I was like, oh, someone had to do it. So I've spent like the last month reading about sea turtles. So yeah, it was really interesting to see how Kate took the theme and how it differs to our viz. And the viz that I've done is just purely on green sea turtles, so this is really interesting.
Yeah, I love the use of the iconography.
Yeah, I like the diet section as well, which is interesting to see how they eat different food as they mature. And the sizes section is really great.
Total, yeah. No, I really, really like that as well.
Good use of color. So she's kept the consistent colors for each of the turtles throughout. And the map is really cool with the magnifying glass.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, because I remember seeing an early rendition of this, and I had commented that I wasn't quite sure the island that she was referencing. Again, I like geography, but sometimes I struggle.
The only thing I'd change about the map, the main map with the blue background, is I probably wouldn't keep the labels on for all the individual states.
Right. No,
because it's not really relevant in this case. Yeah. I don't know if there's supposed to be a line going across the map? Can you see that?
Yeah, that's the equator.
Okay, sorry.
Probably just
It's
turn
just
that
the
off.
equator. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably turn it off as well. And then we've got the legs aid. The surviving thing is really, really good. So
That makes me sad. So
yeah,
well
yeah,
done.
it's really bad. Yeah, bad news. I mean, that's something that myself and Kev were doing with Alvis, and we before we saw this one, but trying to figure out like how best to show that information. So we wanted to show it over time, so the rate of survival drastically decreases at each stage of life. And so we kind of wanted to go from, okay, so let's say there's 100 eggs, and then that goes down to 80, then to 60, and so on and so forth. And we were trying to figure out the best way of doing that. And we tried different things. We tried donut charts and different visits, and we ended up just doing like the plum pudding. So this is a kind of similar approach. But it's so sad that there's only like one in everything.
Yeah.
Threats is good. I really like that. And then the how to help is really cool. So you've got the different things in the bubbles.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I really like it.
Yeah.
And you got your sources.
And these, funny enough, these are actually images that Kate took herself,
I know.
which is amazing. So yeah, I think she'd been looking for a way to incorporate them into her viz for some time.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so great job, Kate. Okay. The next one is by Eve Thomas. Okay, so this was, I think this was, she did this for Makeover Monday as well as Iron Quest. So it's looking at the Makeover Monday around the plastic that's washed up on the beaches. So the first thing I'd say is it's quite initially like text heavy, and the text that's been used is quite bold and like impactful.
Yeah.
Um,
So, obviously she's highlighting the board plastic, in that, baby sky blue color.
mm-hmm.
But if I look at if you go down to the stacked area,
Yeah.
she's used that color for just recycled plastic, but all of that other stuff is plastic too. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it would be better just to use a slightly different color palette, or not use the blue there, and have recycled be its own color, incinerated be its own that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, because it's certainly not all recycled. It'd be
Even
great
in
if
the
it,
tool,
great if it was.
even in the tooltip, the word plastic in the tooltip is highlighted that blue color, so it's
Yeah, gotcha. So the map, the tooltips aren't cleaned up at all. So I'd
no.
look at that,
Yeah.
just sort those out. It's not immediately clear what the color means. So again, it's a slightly different. It's not it's kind of a bluey green kind of color. And the issue with these kind of maps is the smaller countries are
They
really
get
hard to
lost.
see. Yeah, like the European ones, and we're all like
Yeah.
bunched together. And I don't know if we have data for every single country either. So I'd be
Yeah, I'd
careful
almost
about that.
do maybe like top 5 or top 10 as a bar chart, just to show if we're talking about the most waste.
Yeah.
I think, just because you have geographic data doesn't mean you have to do a map. There's other ways to show it.
Yeah.
And like you said, the smaller countries, there's no data, so it's maybe a lot of stuff that's just unnecessary.
Yeah, I think the area chart works well, but I think it's just the color that I'd change. Maybe call out some of these numbers as well, because they're kind of lost in the text.
Mm-hmm.
So some bands might be good too. We've got a bar chart showing the impact. So the quantity of plastic waste floating on the ocean surface. And so I'd question what period of time is this over? Is this just a snapshot, or
Or is it just like, yeah, oh yeah, is it, as of right now or
Yeah,
whenever the data was collected? Yeah, it needs some sort of date.
yeah,
But tooltips are really nice here.
yeah, yeah. And then yes, so we're looking at like single-use plastics and how long they take to degrade. So very familiar with this after doing a viz on
I
plastic
was gonna
bags.
say,
Yeah. So I don't think plastic bags take longer than 20 years to break down. I'll check that because what I was looking at said that they anywhere between 300 and 500 years. So 20 years seems a little bit low.
yeah. And so the tooltips in this bar chart, she has flipped from highlighting the word plastic to highlighting the actual item. So
Okay, yeah,
maybe, I don't know, maybe rethink that.
yeah. But there's tooltips over the icons of the like the water bottle and the cotton bud as well. Or sorry, Q-tip, as you would say.
I knew what you meant.
So I'd say the tooltips are good, but there's a lot of different text sizes.
Yeah, it makes
Which,
it a bit hard to read.
yeah, so I'd maybe call out just maybe the numbers, and just pick everything else the same size. Okay, impact on marine life. So yeah, we've still got just a lot of quite impactful text in those tooltips that are making them quite big.
Yeah,
And then
I think the source button could be a bit smaller.
yeah, it's not a source. It's not a source button. It's a call to action.
Oh no, it's not. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'd probably change that from information. So
Yeah, to some
just
sort of something call to action. Yeah.
yeah, or help, or I don't know. Yeah, some kind of button to make it clear. Because as you've seen in a lot of the other visits, people have used the info button to show their sources.
Yeah.
And that's not the case with this one. But no, great job, Kate. It's a good use of color anyway. Like it's like, although you've got a white background, I think it's all pulled together really nicely.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have Christopher. So this is looking at Scotland's fishing waters. I think Christopher's used a font that's not supported by Tableau Public.
You are correct.
Yeah, because when it opens up, you see it looks different and then it all changes. So I'd just be careful of that and just check your viz looks how it should look when you publish it. What are your initial thoughts, Mark?
So I'm just kind of looking at the first bar chart there.
Yeah.
I almost want a definition, like pelagic, yeah, like I'm just not familiar with the terms. So
yeah.
I mean, I understand there's species, but I need an example, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd probably label the actual bars and get rid of the axes.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to see, the difference between each side.
Right.
So one side is showing tonnage, one side is showing value. I mean, I don't even know if this is the great chart to use for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe two separate charts in like side by side would work better.
Yeah, just have the bars go the same way and do or something. Yeah.
You've got the so there's down below you've got the color legend. You can probably get away with removing that if you make it clear above, like which color's which.
Yeah.
Because the color legend I think is for the purposes of the line charts. So even if you just labeled one of the charts at the end of the lines, That would work.
Yeah.
And then there's on the line charts, there's a lot of labeling and
And the
duplicate
text is
labeling.
really hard to read.
Yeah, I mean, there's a section on the left underneath the text that, yeah, it's so tiny. I'd make that bigger.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you've got a lot of charts, and I don't know if you'd look better just with the labels at the end of the lines.
Yeah, perhaps. But again, it's a dual axis chart, and the scales are different. So
Right.
I
True.
don't
Yeah, it's
know.
tonnage versus value, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm struggling a bit there.
Yeah, and they've got really small text, like kind of just with a description of each thing. So it's obviously different types of fish and shellfish.
And the text is actually cut off like underneath the color legend right in the middle there. See how you got the ... the
I
text
think it's
box
is that it's, I think that's intentional.
Oh, is that intentional? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so. Continued, I think it means.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say just, I mean, you probably don't need to show the year on every single chart.
Right.
Because and then taking that away would clean it up a little bit. You've got then borders at the top of the bottom of every chart. So again, if you just use like small multiples and almost put them in a grid, it might look a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, and when you get down all the way to the bottom, you've got the big four, and I'm wondering, instead of having all these individual line charts, if you just focus on the big four and then all others.
Yeah, and maybe just show the trend over time.
Yeah.
With action, yeah, because it's a lot of information to take in, and I'm struggling. It's kind of like, so what? So what is the answer? Which one is doing the best or the worst? And it's really hard to see without looking at every single chart and kind of trying to figure it out. On the bar charts at the bottom, I'd leave either the labels or the axes and not both.
Right. One or the other.
Yeah, probably get rid of the axes.
And then it looks like we've reused possibly the mackerel color. Looks the same as what's in the line. I don't know that the color is actually necessary because they've labeled, each bar is labeled.
Yeah.
So the color might be unnecessary.
Yeah. And we've got the maritime borders map at the very top.
Yeah, I don't know how much value that adds because it doesn't relate to anything in the visualization.
No, I'd probably I mean, I don't. We're not talking about that anywhere else, so it's kind of a little bit lost.
Yeah. And then I just spotted it as well. So underneath the map, the line chart there with the axis labels are rotated. I just rotate those back, make it match everything else.
Yeah, you can make it the same size as the tonnage line chart on the left. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move on. The next one is by Charles. So, okay, again, I think we've got an issue with the font. It looks, you can kind of see it switch when you load up the viz on Tableau Public.
Yeah.
But could you eat sardines over salmon?
No. Oh, sorry.
That's that then.
End of viz. No.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a fear of fish and seafood and stuff. So if I do eat fish, it can't have skin on it. And yeah, like tin sardines, obviously, have always got skin on them.
Yeah.
No way. They're very fishy as well, right?
I say, give me a nice hairy Ramsden. I'm good to go.
They're good for you, as you can see. So he's obviously on Charles's viz. You've got the the benefits of eating sardines,
Mhm.
which is very clear. So the funny thing is, so he's saying, sardines are reducing in population, and at the same time he's saying you should eat more sardines. So I really like the story that is being told here, and like the reasons why you should eat more and how that could benefit overall.
Hmm. I don't know that the coloring's necessary on the line chart there for the states, for California, Oregon, Washington.
Yeah, especially when you've got the red and blue in the text as well. So red
Yeah.
is starving. Now, I don't think it's just Washington that's
Right.
starving, right? Yeah, so I'd probably take the text out of the color out of the text and of the charts, or maybe just use one, like a blue for all of the charts.
Hmm. Yeah, just stay consistent there.
Yeah, I mean, that could probably be one, like a single line chart, right? Rather than break them down.
The only reason I would say no is because he's showing the high point and the low point
Right, okay. Yeah.
on the line. If you
It'll
put
make
them all in one, you'd only get, um, you
one
know,
high, one
point in
high, one
Oregon.
low. Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
So,
Okay. And so, yeah, again, we've got red being used for overfishing in the bottom chart.
yeah.
I'm not sure. Do you know why like the 2014s, 2018s in red?
My guess is because it's below the 150,000 reference line, the
Right. Okay.
biomass
Yep.
threshold.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
I'd
but I
probably
would
add a
rotate the labels, and then I would hide the null.
yeah, and then I'd probably annotate that section. So just explain what's going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Why are these red?
Yeah, especially when you've got some space there to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. In fact, that text could be an annotation on the chart. References section. It's great.
Except it's too wide, or well, actually, yeah, it gets cut off on the right side
Right. Okay.
because the viz is so narrow.
Yeah. So
So
maybe just be a bit clever with the way the text is written.
yeah, just put in some hard returns.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
But yeah.
But no, I think
No,
very good, like storytelling.
yeah.
Okay. The next one is by Bog Larker.
Yeah. More sea turtles.
They're always going to be popular. Okay, so this is looking at sea turtle strandings in Florida. So it's not immediately clear. Like I actually found this data set when I was looking at mine, but it's not immediately clear. Like where they were stranded.
Yeah, well, so Florida.
Yeah, I mean, but like were they in the sea or were they on the
Beach
beach?
or
Because
yeah,
there's a whole issue with like light pollution, and so the turtles naturally navigate towards the light source, which is the moon. And if there's lights in people's houses on the beach, then they go the wrong way, and then
yeah,
they get stuck or eaten, or so it puts them at a high risk. So yeah, I just or are they getting caught up in like plastic, for instance? It's not.
yeah.
So we do have a pages kind of shelf in play
Right.
here, which obviously doesn't work on Tablet Public.
And so when you change it, the turtles all move in synchronous, like they don't. And based on the ban, I would expect those to change, like
Right,
to
the height,
just
the
or
position.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're just
because it's
moving along.
yeah, they're just swimming along year to year. I don't know that it's actually. I don't know that that actually adds any value.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and with the bubble that's used on the chart, which point are we supposed to look at? Is it the middle of the bubble, the top, the bottom?
right. Yeah, hard to
Um,
say.
yeah, so I think so that if you look at Alive, so I'm looking at Live in 91, the number of records, which presumably is the number of strandings, is 92. Now that, if you look at that bubble, it almost stretches from just above 0 to about 150.
Yeah.
So I'd be careful around
Yeah.
using.
Hard to say there.
Yeah, there's icons. And there's no data source.
Mm-hmm.
And also that I'd be careful about the images. So you can just maybe cite your data source and cite where you got the images from as well.
So scroll down all the way down to underneath where all the, so she does actually reference it, data sources of Florida life conservation, but that needs to be in the viz.
Yeah.
And where did the images come from?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Okay. I'd make the header a bit more prominent as well. The title.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one is by Ash. Don't sing the song. Whatever you do. No, stop it. So this is super fun. Take on obviously the Baby Shark song. Someone had to do it. I thought you were going to do it, Mark, to be honest.
I did start a shark viz, but I didn't go the Baby Shark route.
Okay, so he's gone full Baby Shark, with lyrics and everything, which is really funny. So obviously following the shark's life. It's fun how he's comparing the sizes. So that initially Baby Shark is compared to baby humans. And then as you go on, he's looking at mummy sharks and daddy sharks and their different sizes.
Yeah, I really like the way this lays out. I think it's whimsical, like the color usage. It really works on that blue background.
Yeah. It's I mean, normally I'd say don't use pink for women, and
Yeah.
But I think in this case it's supposed to be childish and stuff. So I think you can get away with it. And he also said that he wanted to make it child friendly, which is really cool. So I think it was Michelle said that she'd shown this to her kids and they liked it. So
yeah,
that's really good. So, and like the context, there's a lot of context in here. So like, how long have sharks been around versus humans and dinosaurs. So that's super fun. And then obviously like the threats to sharks is done really well.
Yeah. That I would almost, because so the runaway safe at last, that piece, I would almost just do instead of doing 2 bar charts, I think I would just do 2 bands, or just because
because they're so different, right?
Different.
Yeah. I agree. And then that would remove the need for that long bar.
Yeah. But
sad face
shark. I love it. And I'm so glad that there's a link to the song.
Yeah. And then he's got the YouTube views.
That's excellent.
Which is just great. So yeah, really, really, really fun. It's just really great application of the song and everything.
Yeah, no, well done. It reminds me a bit of Kevin's Lorax viz, just the playfulness of it, and using the story, and it's good.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, so last up we have Alan Walker. So this viz is looking at Queensland fishing, I believe. I mean, there's not a clear title, so but let's see. So there's a vision tooltip looking at the quantities fished, I assume.
Yeah, there's not. If you hover over, you can see the kilograms, and so you know how much is getting pulled.
Yeah. The colours on the map, I presume, represent the quantity that's being fished.
Total quantity. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a safe assumption. But could have some
It's just,
text or explanation maybe.
yeah,
Because we've
really
got so
minimal
much
use of
on
text.
the map. Yeah, very, very minimal use of text, but like I could see like a text box like up in the Coral Sea or even over the landmass, where you could explain a little bit more about what's going on here.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't include the months as separate buttons. I mean, I think just like a single value or multi-value drop down would work.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I agree. Something a little more compact. The other problem that I'm finding is the zoom is actually on the map and functioning. So like if you accidentally scroll on it,
Yeah.
you zoom all the way out, and
Yeah, I can't zoom. I haven't got my mouse, but yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah,
but even in the tooltip, it'd be nice if there was a bit of a description about what the bars were actually. And the problem that I'm seeing in the tooltip is the scale adjusts for each zone, rather than being fixed. So the crab that's being pulled out of one is like 16,000 versus the prawn in this one is 4,800, and the bars appear the same length. So
yeah. I mean, it would be good to see like just something to compare it to. So, okay, I'm looking at one. There's like nearly 5,000 prawns that have been fished, but what? So what? You know, what is that? Is that good or bad? How's that compared to the average? You know, you can't really get that context from the tooltip.
Yeah, and then
on the spark lines, there's no tooltip at all, so we don't actually know what those values mean.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know what the time frame is. Well, I suppose it's just the 1 year, the 2018.
But then if you're filtering by month, is that filtering it?
It does. Even if it highlighted the point or something.
It's not changing, so I guess it's by year. No, by month. Sorry, it'll be by the full year, just for 2018. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be some kind of description would be good, because presumably some of these fish are seasonal. You know, that they migrate at certain times of the year.
Yeah.
So like if you look at like the scallop, you've got that peak towards the end of the year, which presumably is normal for that kind of species. Yeah, okay. So I think that's everyone. Let me just double check. Yeah, that's the last one. So thank you very much again, Mark, for joining the call.
No, this was fun. A lot of good stuff here.
Yeah,
I hope.
I love going through them all in detail. It's really fun.
Yeah.
So what I'll do now is I'll put everything together in a blog post and get that published as soon as I can. So thanks everyone for taking part. The next Iron Quest won't be until September, purely because of IronViz. So there's the next IronViz starts next week. I think that's due out on Monday, and then there's not much of a gap between feeder 2 and feeder 3. So I think feeder 3 ends in around August or early September, and then at which point I'll do Iron Quest again. But obviously I won't run it at the same time as IronViz because that defeats the object. So yeah, so watch the space for details of the September round. I've got no idea what we're going to be doing yet, but there are some exciting plans in the works. So yeah, watch out for that.
Awesome.
Thank you, Mark, once again, and I'll chat to you soon.
All right. Be good, Sarah.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.
Bye.